Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gebo the Shaman, and today we're talking about the 2025-2026 uprising and revolution in Iran. So I'm going to go over some facts and some things for you to know. I honestly just wanted to, lend a voice to these people because they are being killed, they are being slaughtered, they are being massacred, and that's not you know a good thing. It's really dangerous. It's really gotten out of hand. What the Iranian government is doing to their people, it's inhumane. It's awful, to say the least. So, um, you know, I don't pretend to be someone who knows a whole lot about this stuff. I have been watching this one guy on YouTube called 2CTV, and he seems to know a whole lot more about this than I do. He's I guess an Iranian. Uh, he lived in Iran, I guess, in childhood. I don't know a whole lot about him, but his father, from what I know, is still in Iran, and since there's been a blackout, he hasn't spoken to his father in quite a few days. So it's yeah, people are being impacted by this personally. So you know, uh, and not a whole lot of media, like especially mainstream media, will talk about this stuff. So I just wanted to be an extra voice. I know I'm not a huge content creator, but with a lot of following, but at least I can do my part and lend a hand, lend a voice to this revolution. So I come out of this on on this side of the people. I think letting the people have their revolution, letting them have their democratic government, which is what they want, is really a good thing. You know, um, this is what the United States has tried to do for many decades and years, is spread freedom and democracy throughout the world. Even though, yes, our efforts to do that have been in vain a lot of times. It's been in vain a lot, you know, because the fact is that we can't control people, we can't make people believe that our system of government is the correct one and all that stuff. So, but these people, the Iranian people, are begging for a government with they say that here's what the people are chanting. They're saying this is the final battle. Reza Pahlavi will return. So they are, if you didn't know, in I think the 70s or something like that, they had a king. They had a monarchy, and they had, a form of government that had freedom, had democracy. It was a monarchy. They were under a king. The king's job is basically to ensure that the people have a free and fair, um, you know, uh, political situation, and freedom and basic rights in their lives and things like that. So that's basically a rulership over the, you know, it's kind of like how we have a president now, president, um, to basically make sure that the Congress and the Senate and the judiciary are doing their jobs and they're not acting, you know, in bad faith and taking advantage of their positions. It's the three branches of government that are there to balance each other. So that's kind of what I'm getting. That's what their king did, and that's what yeah. So, but nowadays it's a well, currently it's a the Islamic Republic of Iran, or I think yeah, IRGC, yeah. So um, and so with that Islamic Republic, people do not want to be. I mean the statistics are that 30 like 20 to 30% of Iran's population are Islamic. That is amazing to me, given that they are the largest sponsor of terrorism in the world. So, if and when President Trump or the Israelis go in there and decapitate the government, um, mainly the Ayatollah Khamenei, um, when they do that, it's going to be um, it's going to have a dramatic effect on, this is how we win the war on terrorism. This is how we win the war on, fanaticism, on, these people who want to go out and murder and kill other people due to their ridiculous version of what they call jihad. Um, so um, yeah, it's just like when the Ayatollah is taken out, because I have a feeling that he will be. It might be sooner or later, but I'm sure he will be taken out. Um, this is how we get a more peaceful world. You know, yes, okay, Russia and Iran and Russia and Ukraine have their problems, and then it's like there's evil is not isolated to one place or one ideology, but this is going to be a huge win for you know freedom and democracy. I'll just say that when the Ayatollah is taken down, um, and hopefully, I have my thoughts and what I want to see out of this, but hopefully he is, tried before a court of law and given a sentence and all that for what he's done to the Iranian people. Um, so yeah, that's what I'm hoping to see that from this. But I mean, it seems like so. What I'm hearing from the Iranian people, again, 2CTV is a great source for this. He's getting like voicemails, voice messages from people on Telegram and things like that, different sources, and he's saying that there is, you know, he's so somebody is so someone the people in Iran are hearing that they have a lot of support from other people protesting in Western nations like United States and in London or England or things like that. And then but the thing that the people are saying is they're not seeing boots on the ground. They're not seeing any like humanitarian support or anything. So they're just wondering like what's going on? Like why isn't there more action taking place? And of course, they're having to endure mass killings and awful things like this. And it's just like awful stuff. And so um they have demonstrated an extreme bravery to stand up to their government. I mean, the last time this happened was in I think 2019 or something like that. Um, I know Grok is saying like 2022 and 2023. let's see here. It's the 22. Okay, so yeah. Because I have Grok pulled up right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and read through some stats here. And by the way, guys, this is Grok, so I can't say that this is the most accurate and detailed and gives the right perspective because, a lot of, so for example, like the BBC or mainstream news channels, they don't consider the words of the protesters as being official sources. They consider the Islamic Republic of Iran, the government of Iran, as being an official source. So, granted, you're going to get way different information because there's such a bias against the people and their voice. It's almost like being negated, like how they'll listen to one side but not the other. It's just like so crazy and ridiculous. So I can't verify that everything here is true or it's not propaganda from the Iranian Islamic regime. So just bear that in mind, okay? And I will try to correct the things that are propaganda. So just to give you a rundown of things, this protest began December 28th, 2025, so it's been about 15 days that the protests have lasted 15 days. This initially took place in Tehran, the capital city, particularly bazaars and markets, over severe economic grievances. Now, everyone is saying that this is over economic reasons. I can assure you that that is only a small part of that. I think, from my knowledge, so I'm not pretending to be the know-it-all. Okay, so what I'm finding is they're saying, death to Khomeini, they're saying death to the Islamic Republic, death to the regime, and they say the the crown prince of the kingdom of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, they're calling upon him to return, and Reza Pahlavi has, made several statements on he's willing to help the Iranian people to have a government that is, freedom and democracy and restoring freedom to the people. And he said he would be happy to take power for a short time if that's what the people want. And since they're chanting his name, that is apparently what they want. I wouldn't. Here's the thing: don't believe any other source other than the words that are coming out of the Iranian people. Right? You wouldn't say if someone was chanting for Trump and the mainstream media reported, "Oh yeah, they want Joe Biden. They want Kamala." No, they don't. They want Trump. It's just like, come on, it's common sense. So, you know, and the regime, Khomeini has released propaganda videos and all kinds of misinformation, disinformation to think that they're winning or they're doing a great job at suppressing their people, and they're not. Despite the mass killings, despite the mass attempts at censorship, they've even shut down the power. So they're shutting off power to the country, certain regions and things, and and still people are able to get Starlink. They're able to, upload videos and audio and stuff, even text to like places like Twitter and different things like that to get this message out. So the Iranian regime has shut down power, you know, electricity, and yet still people are getting the word out. They're grouping together, they're sharing, you know, Starlink, like, you know, they're sending videos and audio to people with Starlink and getting those messages uploaded to the web to where the Westerners can, you know, can see what's going on there. So, and then, and then the regime tried to, shut down the Starlink devices, doing like a signal jamming and stuff like that. It's not working. They even are going house to house and going and looking on the rooftops and things like that to see if there's Starlink devices, and they're trying to take them down. Elon has been very supportive of this. Um, even going so far as to change the Iranian flag to that of the Kingdom of Iran with the lion and the crown. That flag. So if you don't know, there's a flag that has like a red symbol on it. That is the Islamic Republic. There's a flag with a gold crest upon it, like a lion and a crown. That is the flag of the Kingdom of Iran. This is what everyone is going around and holding up and cheering for and calling on the return of the king, things like this. So, let's see here if Grok will tell us the truth. So, let me see here. Let's change this over. There we go. That's better. All right. So, we have, let's see here. Key triggers, hyperinflation. Yeah. So right now on hyperinflation, since the protest began, the currency is literally worth like zero, like like a penny maybe. The currency has been so devalued because nobody believes in it anymore. It's not a real thing. The banks have all been burned down. Governmental institutions have been burned down. Government buildings, and they've even gone so far as to go into like military bases and like different things like this. They burned down the Islamic regime's mosques, so they're taking out and burning mosques. They're burning down like the banks, the tax office, things like this. They're burning it all down. It's just like, no, we're not having this anymore. So that currency naturally has been totally deflated, and or what do you call it? It's not worth the paper it's printed on, right? So that's basically the point. So let's see here. We have sharp devaluation of the Iranian rial, losing significant value since the June 2025 12-day Israel-Iran conflict, soaring food prices up to 60-70%, general economic freefall, exacerbated by sanctions, corruption, and regime spending on regional proxies. Yeah, so they're not even concerned with the interest of the people. The people are starving while the government officials of the regime are you know, I saw a video the other day about showing someone filming an Iranian official, and he was so fat. The Iranian people might, meanwhile, they're like, malnourished almost. Is like so skinny and fit and healthy and all that, and this guy's just so big. And um and then what's it called? So they even the Iranian people basically went to like there's like a food storage warehouse specifically for the uh Islamic Republic government, the regime. And so they went to that warehouse, they burnt it down, they got all the wheat, they got all the wheat and the food and threw it around. I'm sure they probably stole a lot of that stuff before they burnt that place down. But yeah, it's just funny to see that, like, they're throwing the things in the air and stuff. It was hilarious. Those people probably hasn't haven't even seen that much food in their lifetimes. Um, all right, let's see. So, um, the demonstrations quickly spread nationwide, evolving from economic complaints into broad anti-regime uh, demands, including calls to end clerical rule, chants of death to the dictator, referring to Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. There's chants of death to Khamenei and pro-monarchy slogans like "Long live the Shah" or support for exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Scale and spread. So here's another thing to add is so originally they were just thinking that they were going to just take over Tehran with the protests. Like, they didn't think that it would be much further than that. They thought maybe everyone who was interested would come to Tehran and protest and all that. But now it's even spread to places, other cities. I couldn't I couldn't really name them. I've heard of these cities before, but I'm not like a total expert on Iran, um, or Iran. But yeah, it's you know, it's these protests are going on everywhere, like in a lot of the major cities and stuff. And the crown prince has called for moving into the main streets of the cities, so that way people are all packed together. They're able to more easily take over the buildings and things. There's even one video of the police standing on top of the police station and cheering the protesters on. They didn't want to fight, so they just let them do their thing. And that was probably the smartest thing they ever did. Because, a few police officers versus millions of people, yeah, that's not going to work well. So, let's see here. Um, Scale and spread. Demonstrations have occurred in all 31 provinces in Iran, across 180 to 195 plus cities, including major cities like Tehran, Mashhad, Isfahan, Tabriz, Shiraz, Avaz, and Kurdish slash Western regions. Nice. Uh, Protesters involve large crowds, strikes, um, on bazaars in some cities. Oh yeah. So here's another thing: the strikes. So the protests have gotten to such a large point that, you know, shop owners and people who own businesses and stores and all that, they're like, what's even the point of you know of having what's even the point of having the store open? I'll just, go protest. And it's like, so there's been a lot of store closures, not to mention that people can't even have access to the banks and stuff. So there's just been, like, yeah, there's just been a total economic shutdown happening. All right, so let's see here. Protests involve large crowds, strikes at bazaars in some cities, roadblocks, clashes with security forces. They call them security forces, but they're really just, old regime people. um, a lot of people are calling them mercenaries of the old regime. Um, let's see, burning of government buildings, police vehicles. Oh yeah, they've definitely they've what they do is they gathered like all the vehicles, like they burned them. That, even like, I saw this one video of like a big pile of motorcycles laying on top of one another, like stacked, and then they just lit that on fire. It's hilarious. So these are, the governmental motorcycles, the governmental vehicles, and, it's gotten to such a point that they've actually formed roadblocks with these vehicles, so that way they can't even, no vehicles can penetrate the crowd, the gathering, the protesters and all that. So, and then um let's see here. So there's been burning of government buildings, police vehicles, and in some cases protesters arming themselves or seizing local offices. So yeah, typically what they would do is, if they saw someone pointing a gun, or you see, like, there was this one video of like a IRGC member, like a, I think, military guy, trying to hide his rifle as he moved through a crowd, and the crowd spotted him and basically beat him up and took his gun off him. So, and then so they're not only doing that, taking guns off of these military personnel, security forces, and all that. And then they're also, invading police stations, or, they'll go break into a police station and steal all the guns out of there, and then burn the police station down. It's hilarious. So that's what they're doing. It's like total anarchy, chaos. Let's see here. Yeah. Then coordination persists despite nationwide internet and communications blackout, lasting days and weeks, with mobile networks affected, aided by tools like Starlink and some reports. Yeah. So people are definitely using Starlink. Um, Even though they tried to, crack down on Starlink's use. Um, yeah, so they shut down all the, mobile devices, the cellular networks and all that. And yeah, internet's down. Now the IRGC, I'm being told, does have like an intranet, meaning that it's a way of connecting, messages from one part of Iran to another part of Iran, but it doesn't go outside of Iran, so it's called an intranet. So, let's see here. Um, yeah. All right, let's talk about casualties. Casualties and government response. Death toll estimates are very widely depending on the source. So again, guys, this is something that changes daily, if not hourly. There have been military personnel who have, been on like they get on rooftops and they shoot down into the crowds and stuff. There have been um, military guys with the IRGC who basically will fire upon protesters. They'll be told which protesters to fire upon, and then they'll fire upon them, and then they'll take them to the hospital. They'll get them injured to a point where they need the hospital, and then when they're at the hospital, they'll go find them. They'll go capture them. Take them prisoner, and then take them to a black site and kill them. So it's not good. And then latest reports I'm getting is that there's been people who have wanted the corpses of their family members back, like their sons, their daughters, their parents, family members back from the IRGC, and the officials are saying, "Oh yeah, that'll be like $70 million or uh, what is it called? 70 million Iranian dollars or whatever." And so, that's a lot. That's a lot of money for people. So, and people don't just have like millions of dollars lying around. That's so ridiculous. So it's like they're kidnapping the bodies of the protesters. It's just messed up. Like, that's crazy. Okay, so let's see. Death tolls estimates vary widely depending on the source. U.S. based rights groups, e.g., HRANA, report 500 to 650 plus protesters killed, uh, including children, plus dozens of security personnel. 48 plus security personnel reported in some counts, with 10,000 to 10,700 plus arrests. Now, I think this is being pretty lowball. I mean, because the latest reports that I've heard, I mean, they in some of these smaller towns and smaller places where there's not a whole lot of, big, large crowds, they're basically sending in their mercenaries to go wipe out people and it's just shoot on sight. It's so for me, thousands is like a low number. 1,000 is a very low number for me, you know? And then, I can believe the 10,000 number for arrests because there's people, you gotta think about it like this. There's people who have been hurt and injured and they go to the hospital and then they get black bagged, basically. They get taken to a black site and they get killed. So, and then I think the latest orders from the regime have been just kill everyone you see. I mean, they're so desperate to stop this that it's gotten to that point where they don't even care, who gets killed or whatever. I mean, they've never really even been on the side of the people either. So it's just like, it's crazy. Okay, so let's see here. Opposition. MEK. I don't know what MEK means. Sources claim much higher figures, over 3,000 killed in some unverified reports. Yeah, I would go with the 3,000 number, if not higher. I would say maybe even 5,000 to 10,000. I don't know why they're calling it opposition forces. It's like opposition to who? The jackasses, the regime? I mean, come on. Like, it's just like to me the regime should be called the opposition to the people, It's just like, why do we play these mind games? So, the government acknowledges some deaths, framing many as martyrs among security forces, but claims the situation is under control and blames rioters, foreign plots, U.S. Israel plots, and terrorism. Yeah, okay. Says the world's leading sponsor of terrorism. I'm not gonna feel bad for you. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, I think it's just so hard to tell who's, how many deaths. And of course, President Trump said, stop killing people. If you continue to kill people, and it's a large number of people, which it clearly is, then we're going to come in and kick your ass. So, all right, regime tactics: live ammunition, tear gas, mass arrests, hospital raids. Yep, hospital raids, sniper deployments, and framing protests as an extension of war with the U.S. Israel. Yeah, that's stupid. I mean, come on. So yeah, definitely using live ammunition. I mean, if they had any decency, they would just surrender totally. But even if not, like, using live ammunition on your own people, like, that's dirty. That's so gross. Yeah, as I said, they've been raiding hospitals and taking people and killing them. Yeah, they've also been using sniper deployments and stuff on the rooftops and stuff to, yeah, framing protests as an extension of war with the U.S. Israel. I don't even know why that logic's. What kind of logic is that? Are you saying that the U.S. sent citizens into your country to to try to wipe out the regime, or what? That's like so stupid. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has vowed no retreat, calling protesters vandals trying to please the U.S. Well, it ain't working, Ali. It ain't working. You're not pleasing the U.S. Pro-government rallies have been held tens, hundreds of thousands in Tehran to counter the narrative. Oh yeah, So I just blinked out. Pro-government rallies have been held. So it was about, I think, maybe 100. I forget what TCTV said. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. The pro-government rallies are a bunch of boomers. They're a bunch of old people, and Islamists that they didn't even have any enthusiasm. There was no pro-Iran or Islamic Republic flags. There's just a bunch of old guys walking the streets. They didn't even look excited. They didn't even look like like they enjoyed it. It was just like they had their head down, they're walking. It's just like so stupid. All right, let's see here. I would doubt if it's 100,000. I would say maybe 10,000. Um, to counter what narrative though? See, to counter the narrative that you've been killing your people. Like, what the fuck? Come on, seriously. Um, international dimension. U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened military intervention if killings continue. Stated Iran contacted the U.S. to negotiate it and impose tariffs on Iran's trading partners. So here's my thoughts. Yeah, okay. Let's negotiate with Iran. And then when we get Khomeini in some foreign state like Qatar, uh, when he's sitting at the table with President Trump, send Delta Force in there to arrest his ass and put him in U.S. custody, just like we did it with Maduro. That's what I would do. You know, that's what I would do. And if he doesn't want to go peacefully, then, you know, that's just my thoughts. So, because if you get him in Iran, then he's gonna be hiding in some random bunker somewhere. They have tunnels and bunkers and all kinds of stuff there. So, anyway, Iran warns it is prepared for war, but open to dialogue, threatening retaliation against the U.S. and Israel. targets if attacked. So, yeah, here's another kind of component to it is they have about 60% capacity for on their uranium or whatever. So it's like 60% enriched, which means that, they could enrich it even further. They only need like seven days or something, so it's well past that 7 day mark. So I wouldn't doubt that they have some kind of a nuclear bomb, even if it's a dirty bomb, even if it's a dirty nuke or whatnot. Like they have something, and so what I would say is, uh, Israel is preparing for to be attacked pretty soon, just because I think the U.S. is planning something like tomorrow, and so we'll see. You know, um, let's see here. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully, like that. I mean, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, why would you attack Israel? Especially if you're being, especially if Iran is being, it's like having their own problems within their country. I mean, it's not Israelis going into Iran and protesting, it's Iranians. It's like, it's just so silly. Like their tactics and what they're doing, it's just like, give it up already, man. You tried, you gave it your best. It was a good shot, but come on, we're done. We're done here. So let's see here. Exiled opposition figure Reza Pahlavi has called for sustained action and positioned himself as a potential transition leader. Yes. And people are calling for his return. They want their king back. They want to return to a democracy with freedom for all. Um, the unrest follows a year of economic strain post the 2025 Israel-Iran conflict and echoes prior waves of 2017, 2018, 2019, 2022, 2023, but is also seen as a more widespread and potentially existential for the regime. Yeah. So there's been uprisings and things all along. So another thing that I wanted to point out here is that the women in Iran are are fighting back against they're actually going out and protesting and all that, and they're refusing to wear their hijabs, their whatever it's called, their head coverings, and so yeah, I mean they're totally over the Islamic Republic. They don't want it anymore. And I guess from what I've heard, like there's a lot of Christianity spreading, so a lot of belief in Christianity rising, and yeah, Muslim and Islam is becoming very much unpopular, and um, yeah, there's, as I said before, 20 to 30% of the population are Islamic. Now that's amazing to me because this is the Islamic Republic, but I mean, you got 70-80% of your people are not um are not what do you call it, Muslim. So it's just stuff it's just crazy to me. So yeah, that's pretty much all the facts and stuff. So all right, so well, guys, yeah, I really appreciate you watching this video with me, and I've been watching a lot of it's called 2C TV, TOUSI TV. So yeah, I really like that guy. His name is fuck, what is his name? uh, I can't even pronounce it. It's just like, but yeah, you know, I don't know. I have a lot of hope for Iran. I want to see them succeed in this revolution, and you know, it just saddens me that that there's so much like hate against the people of Iran from, you know, the government of Iran basically shooting at them and killing them and all this stuff. It's so horrible. It's awful. You know, it's like really not good. Really bad stuff. A lot of you know, what one person described it as was like a hellscape because you had all these things burning and you had people getting shot and killed and all that. So, yeah. And you know, the people of Iran are begging for help. They named a street after Trump in Tehran. That's funny. But that just goes to show you like how much they want is help. You know, help from the United States, help from Israel, help from allies, and yeah, you know, it's just sad to see that like, you know, that the government is fighting back when it doesn't need to. And, you know, this is something respecting the will of the people. They just refuse to do it. So, you know, and it's wonderful. On the other hand, it's really wonderful that the people of Iran are getting out there and they're protesting and they're um going on a revolution, causing a revolution. This is a revolution for freedom and democracy and for their rights and freedoms and all that stuff. So all I can do is just cheer you guys on. You know, if you're watching me from Iran right now, the United States supports you and has your back, and yeah, but you know, I support you. I wish there was a lot more that I could do for you other than prayer and meditation for the people of Iran and their well-being and the restoration of their rights. But yeah, you know, um, so yeah, guys, I feel like even if we just, you know, put a lot of effort and thought and consciousness into supporting the people of Iran, like I feel like that's very important. So yeah, um, yeah, that's about all I got for today. So, all right, guys. Yeah. So, love you guys. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your 2026. Hopefully, I'll be back soon. Um, yeah. honestly, I haven't been too, like, I don't know, I just haven't been in the mood to make videos or things like that. So, um, yeah, maybe, like, I'm still waiting for for your all's suggestions on videos to make. And I mean, it really helps me when you give me your feedback and, talk to me about the things that you want to see on this channel. So please do that. Okay? And if you have a video suggestion for me, then I will go ahead and make that video. I have no problem with that. So, alright, guys, take care. We'll see you later. Love you guys. And we will talk to you later. Bye bye.